Good morning. Good morning. Oh, well, I had a good sleep. How about you? How'd you rest? I tell you, I woke up this morning with this thing on my side of my face, didn't realize that when I let the dog out that, I was letting in a bug and he wore me out. I don't know how he wore me out like that, but I woke up and I had like, where they bit me like 3 or 4 times. I don't know if they came in as a gang. I'm not sure how they assembled, but I know they bit me. So they have it bit me here and then down on my neck, and I'm like, oh my goodness, what did I let in the house? It was definitely an attacker. Okay, they attacked me from all sides because I got it over here and on my arms. So it was a bad mosquito. He came armed. He had company. So anyway, good morning, G. Anyway, I'm having a little fun this morning, but I couldn't believe that I was that bitten up. I kept saying, well, what did I do? What did I do? And I knew I hadn't done anything but let the dog out. And I'm gonna tell you a thing. I hate insects and I hate any kind of bugs. So bugs bug me to the point where I'm ready to go as soon as I get outside to the outside event. The only way I'm feeling good is if I have on a ton of off and a band and you name it, I got it on. Okay, just trying to get them to go to somebody else's area and hang out. But for some reason, mosquitoes love me. I don't know why. I don't know if it's something in my skin. I don't know what it is. It says mosquitoes. Would you say? Wait a minute. Let me read what you said. I put on my glasses. It says we saw our first mosquito, well, and stomped on it. Well, I can't even get to it. Good morning, Joan. I don't even know how he came in because I'm always trying to get away from him. If I see him, I'm on it. But I didn't see him last night, so he and his cohorts came in unassuming to me. I didn't know anything about them, and they though they love you too, Gina. Okay, how about you, Joan? Do the mosquitoes love you? Can't stand them. So anyway, there's an area outside my house that always collects water, and it's a defect in the road work. So I've called and called, and they fix it a few times, but every time it rains, 2 or 3 days after the rain has already disappeared, even as hot as it is, the water will still be out there. So I feel that it's basically a breeding ground for them. They come and they hang out, and then when I go to take my garbage out or go get my mail, they attack. So anyway, that's my funny this morning. That's oh, you have the same problem, Joe. I don't know what it is. Well, I called the city and asked them. They're supposed to be spraying this year. So you can, if you live in the county usually is the one that does it, but because the weather has been what it is, and there's so much that the city has been involved in trying to do a cleanup, is that I did find out that the city's mosquito issues can be addressed by the county this year, and usually it's not. Usually they treat the city, and this is no lie. I live like 5 doors from where the county is and where I am in the city. So my garbage can is black, and my neighbors 4 or 5 doors up, just as you cross over this next street, theirs is green. So I don't know what the city planner was doing when they decided that they were going to revamp the city and rezone it or whatever they did. But when they're rezoning, and they just paved their portion and didn't pave this portion. So it'll just tell you that's how it is. But anyway, today we're going to talk about ties. And the reason I want to talk about ties is because I know everybody has some ties. Family, friends, could be foes, even if it's bad ties, or it could be work ties, it could be church ties. It's ties. It's how you are connected to others, how you are connected, be it family, friends, dog, whatever. There is connections that we do. That's what we do, and with our lives is that we are connected with folks. And so I thought ties would be a great thing to really discuss. Good morning, Linda. Good morning, Shayla. We're going to talk about what ties are, what ties do. And sometimes ties can mesh up. They can mess you up without you even knowing it, because you don't realize how tied into other people you are. Could be, that it started off one way and it moves on to something else where you're even more dependent on each other. And that's hey, hi, she said, hi, auntie. And you're more what I call codependent. One can't move without the other. That's a tie. Okay? That's a tie. But I'm going to start off before I do anything else is ask you, are you stuck? We all going to be stuck. We're all stuck right now. Everybody knows that they are stuck on something. And in the pandemic, we're all worried about not getting sick. So we're stuck at doing some things which hopefully are going to keep us well. Covering up, making sure we do the right thing. Good morning, Jamisha. Making sure that we do the right thing of how we would protect ourselves from becoming ill. So I'm going to start off with a poem this morning. And this poem is, ironically enough, it says family friend poems, there's an S on it, because I got this from the area on the internet that talks about that. And it says, these are the ties that bond, not bind, bond, but, similar. Bind and bind, they really kind of mean the same thing. It still means that there's a closeness. There is a tightness. There is a closeness that sometimes you couldn't get, a knife in between. You know that. You have some folks that are thick as thieves with you. That's the way it is. That's the way it is. So anyway, this poem is by Erica C. McClendon. And it says, no one is ever born into this world alone, but the Lord connected us to someone's family tree. Everyone has shared the bond of family, whose name always has a history. These are the ties. My family, better known as my loved ones, they were the ones who were the first to see me shed a tear. They were the first. Oh, wait a minute. Let me skip down. It says, your family, they're usually the first to work your nerves. True. But they are also the first to help you heal your hurts. They are usually the ones who would put up with you despite your faults, right to the very end. And no matter how many times you go astray, that means to get lost, they always accept you back into the bond again. I think of my family, no matter how many hateful things we did to one another or hateful words we have shared, when affliction came upon our lives, we were the first and last ones there. It kind of reminds me of Jesus, my personal Savior and eternal friend. But the only thing about him is that he'll be there to the end. I thank God for the many disagreements. They just made our bond grow tight. And I can't even count on one hand how many times we went our distance. But somewhere down the line, God always caused us to reunite. Good morning, Tammy. It says, there are the ties that bond, and this is the bond that holds the family together. And these are the ties that make the family's endurance last forever. I mean, I think that is just wonderful, because it talks about the fact that you're close, then you get away, then, you stop talking, then all of a sudden you're back together, you reunite. And this can happen, even though they're talking specifically about family. This happens with friendships too. Okay, we have ties. And a lot of times we deal on the emotional level of ties. We deal on the heart level of ties. We deal on the physical level of ties. I don't want to see you no more. Okay, if I see you anymore in this lifetime, and the next day is the lifetime has changed because they see each other. So you just never know. You never know what your ties can do to you until you go through it. You're going to go through it. There's going to be some hurt. There's going to be some laughter. There's going to be some mistrust. Going to be some real trust. Going to be some honesty. Going to be good morning. Good morning, everybody. Tamika. Oh, my goodness. Everybody came in. Janita. Okay. But anyway, the ties. That's what we're talking about today. We have ties that we must deal with. And so when we talk about ties, And I hope you have a piece of pen and paper with you, because I'm going to be coming, as they say, my pastor used to always say, I'm almost on your pew. Well, I'm coming down your street, okay? I'm almost right at your door. That's what I want to do. One day, right at your door. I have to decline that. Somebody calling me in the middle, and I didn't turn it off. I apologize for that. I usually do. But anyway, ties, it says attached or fastened. Something to something or someone with a string or similar cord is to restrict or limit someone to a particular situation, an occupation, or a place. So ties can really bind us or bound us with people, with positions sometimes, with places, and then eventually we're just known as being a part of that, whatever that is, that family, that job, that church. Am I telling you? I'm telling you. Those are our ties. And there's nothing wrong with having ties, because the Lord didn't make us to be alone. He did not put us in a position that we would be by ourselves. But he gave us the opportunity to form ties. Some ties we come with, like you don't know, you inherit family. Okay, when you come in here, when you came in the world, some folks was already there waiting for you. Okay, first of all, it was your mom, your dad, somebody that was family, that was considered your bloodline. Those were your ties. Okay, but then you eventually got older. You maybe did less family and more of everybody else. You did more of friendships. You did more of playships, more of singships, because I'm a singer. Okay, you do those kinds of things. And so when you do those kinds of things, that means it takes you away from, say, the nucleus or the core of your family. And some families get really upset when their children start leading them less and less and less. I know I went through that. I'm quite sure you could write it in there if you went through that with your children, when they needed you less and needed friends more. Sometimes those are hurtful things, because we think it's something about us. It is not. It's nature. It is nature. And it is the same thing when they go from having friendships, because then the friends sometimes get mad when they decide that they have a mate. They're getting ready to marry, or they have a boyfriend or a girlfriend. So those things, they have a relationship that establishes. And then they think, well, why would they establish a relationship if they have our friendship? Well, the friendship can do nothing for what the heart relationship does. It has to do with romance. And so, those new ties sometimes take people back. They just get kind of upset about the fact that, well, how dare them? How could they, form no jealousy? It didn't take me too long, to realize that my child had grown up and my child was ready to form new friendships and eventually have boyfriends and go out on dates and be gone, day and night, whatever they want to do, because they grow into who they are, and I believe that even though they're not there all the time, just like that poem says, they're going to come back. They'll come back. They'll come back and check on you, eat your food, especially if you're a good cook. They want your food. They want your guidance, but they just want it. They want it served to them differently. They don't want the same food when you were giving them baby food to be giving them baby food in their adults. You have to change the menu. You have to all of a sudden decide that what's being served is totally different. What you're having, because even if you fed them well when they were younger, some of those things they will remember. Some they will always say, if she never feeds me that again, I'm fine. I remember one day my daughter did that to me. She said, oh, I don't like that. And I kind of hurt my feelings, because I thought I had been in there, like just like this at the kitchen, in the kitchen, sweating and carrying on. She said, nah, that's okay. You don't have to have it. And I said, don't you want some more? No. I don't want the rest of this. So sometimes you just have to take and understand that their ties, they're going to form beyond you. They're just going to form them. It doesn't have anything to do with you. Not a darn thing. And you need to get over it. Because once you get older, even once you've been married and you divorce, you're married and your husband or wife dies, you want a new relationship. And sometimes the kids who have come back in may have something about, well, the ties I had with my dad. Say I'm going to my mom, and I'm going to protect my dad from anybody. I'm going to protect my mom from anybody, so nobody else can come up in here. Well, the child can't do what the boyfriend and eventually a husband or wife can do. They can't do it, no matter what we say. We weren't triggered like that. We weren't made like that. Everyone has to form their ties according to their readiness, according to, their selection on who they want to be with. And it's all emotional as well as a physical attraction. It has nothing to do with the fact that you might have birthed them. Okay? The life is for the living. And you're always going to form new ties unless you get too old and can't remember the ties you had. And eventually I'll be there. So you say, I remember her when she used to. That's just the way it is. That's the way it is. So when we start with ties, we're really talking about, it looks at the situation that a person's in, the place. It looks at, are they restrained? Because sometimes when you tied down, are you not restrained? You're restrained. It talks about it being a constraint. It also being a block, an obstruction, something that can impede, something that could hamper. Now, sometimes kids will come in and you think you got rid of them, and they move back in and bring all their stuff, including dogs. Well, you have to make a determination, when you're going to put them back out. I'm just saying. That's the ties. That's the ties. And I think we as parents always remember our children as children, regardless of the fact that they grow hair, they grow, a mustache, they grow a beard, they grow up. They're men, they're women, okay? So we have to sometimes have trouble putting ourselves in the realm of their growth because we still see them as if they were children. We just do. So the T of ties is for together. Now, you know what together is. When you together as a family, and I know some of you got some stories you could probably tell if you've been tied up in your house, binded with your family. Some of you got some stories. I bet you could tell me about who didn't clean the dishes, who keeps going in something and leaving it instead of picking it up and putting it back where they got it from. Who says who drank all of the juice but only left a corner in the bottom of the bottle just so they didn't have to throw the bottle out. Okay, who can say that the bathrooms are dirty or whatever? I'm just saying. Okay, we understand what together means. Together means sometimes that you tied up in a situation that you really can't get out of. You can't get out of it. It says, so together, it says with or in a proximity to another person or people. Okay? And sometimes we can have, and that tie, those ties they don't necessarily have to be a real cord. It's like sometimes I used to have to tell women and men that the umbilical cord was cut when the child was born. But sometimes we forget that. We forget it because we always want to see them as when we coddled them, when we held them close, when we told them how much we loved them, when they smelled good, when we were doing their bath, when we were doing all the things of nurturing. Okay? Well, you can't nurture anybody that's 35, 45, 50 years old, not even 18 anymore. You can certainly tell them how much you love them, tell them how much you need them, but also you have to give them their papers and cut the ties from when they were children and tie a new, looser tie. Still love you, still care about you, still want you to come on by, still want to be in whatever mix. And look, and if you're ever in trouble, this is the place. You can bring it home. You can talk to me. That's what you have to leave open. You have to leave open the possibility that trouble can come, because trouble comes to everybody. And you don't want to make it where if they come and tell you something, that every time they see you, you're giving them the look of a child as if they were children. Don't do it. Don't do it. You have to give them a new tie. So you're going to loosen the bounds, loosen the bound, make it where, they see you, they love you, they're glad and everything. They just want to check on you, make sure you're all right, because they still have that binding of the heart. The heart is a strong, strong weapon. against anything, okay? Against anything. Even if the children decide to go off and tra-la-la, la-la-la-la across country, okay? Most of them, something happened, they coming back to check. They're coming back to check. Unless something that was done that was just so horrific, so egregious, so loathing that they can't make that segue. They can't make that trip back. That's different. But that, to me, those are when counseling, okay, when prayer, when you got to give it to somebody higher than yourself. Bring them back, let them know I'm sorry, because sometimes we do have to say sorry to the ties that we have, okay? Because sometimes you have to tell the ties you're a little too close. And right now, with the virus going on, everybody's too close. Go out and hang with a whole bunch of people. Don't come over here. No, my door's closed. So anyway, when we talk about together, we're talking about in conjunction with. And these are all the things that really talk about, am I stuck? Are you stuck? That's what this is all about. Are you stuck? Are you stuck in your house with people that aren't serving you well right now? Are you stuck in a relationship? Are you stuck at a job that still is demanding that you come to work and you have fear in you? Are you stuck? That's what, when I go through these, it's all going back to, are you stuck? Are you stuck? Asking you the questions. So being stuck also talks about the togetherness, that closeness, that talks about in conjunction with, jointly, in concert with, in league. It says with one accord. They talk about the family marches. They all march, or when there's a family feud, all are feuding. Everybody's on it. Everybody's concerned. Everybody's worried. Everybody's fighting, okay? And it also talks about hand in glove, we right there. You got something going on, I'm right there for you. You don't have to worry about me. I got your back. I got your side. I'll lead. I'll follow. I'm right there. And why? Because the chains aren't broken. The chains are there. And sometimes people don't even like each other as family members. But you let something go down, they're getting ready to protect the family name. They're going to protect the value. They're going to protect the presence of what that name says or does for people. So that would be. And it's also the shoulder to shoulder. That's what together is on ties. Ties bring all that about in the togetherness. And then the next word that I chose for ties is impede. Because when something is impeded, there's a delay, or it prevents something from happening, either someone from doing something or some things from happening. It's an obstruction of things. It is a hindrance. That's what impede is. And sometimes that's that interference when I talk about the children are growing, but you still have them as 2 and they're 22, okay? Or the relationship is pulling apart and you still have them in the relationship as if they, just told you how much they loved you, and 5 minutes before they told you how much they hated you. Okay? Those kinds of things. Impeding. You can't impede the tie that has bound you unless you discuss it. You got to talk about that thing. You got to really open up and say, look, I think you moved on. Have you moved on? Because sometimes you need clarity. And in order for you to get clarity, you have to ask what is impeding this process. Because I think I told you I was ready to go. I think I told you I was ready for you to go. Okay? But sometimes people get it mixed up. They get it mixed up. So really to impede something is to hinder the progress, to obstruct, to hamper, to handicap. Okay? How many people have you met where the child, they have a daughter or a son that's in their 30s and they're still home only because they nurtured beyond the ability of the child to let go anymore. There was a time when there probably had some, what I call some elasticness to it, and they could have left, but they didn't. And when they didn't, they missed the opportunity. And so the opportunity is always made to be never created. It's never created again. And so there's always what I call an obligation to keeping the family just the way it is. You know, sometimes you realize that that kind of impeding really forces everybody to be dysfunctional. Everybody. The one that still want the ones that want them not to leave or not to form other relationships, as well as the person that's trying to leave, you know, because there's guilt there. You know, you don't want people to feel guilty about forming new relationships, or at least forming. See, the other tie should be that you should have ties with yourself. You should have a tie where you can say, I'm not stuck about this. I'm going with it. This is what I want to do. This is my life. You know, I don't want to wake up at 40 and 50 years old and I haven't done anything. I don't want to wake up, you know, and it's time for me to leave here, and I still can't say that I knew what it was to feel free, to feel, you know, untangled, you know, untwined, you know, all those things. It's just unbelievable that people do that. You know, I mean, I've had counselees like that, and I couldn't tell them that I felt sorry for them. I couldn't. There's no way I could have told them that. But in my heart of hearts, I said, wow, how could they let this manifest like this? How could they keep this going? You know, and you know, where the children were afraid to leave, you know, thinking that outside was dangerous. Well, that was the picture that had been painted. That, you know, sometimes we can look through something and see clearly, and other people look at it and they see nothing but cloudiness. They can't see beyond what's there. They don't see it. They don't see it. So the E of ties is earnest. And I said, Sandy, why did you pick earnest? I pick earnest because it's serious and it's important. Our ties have always been placed on us from baby to adulthood, into seniorhood, into death. Always been important. And it's seriously important that they say, you know, they're always going to say, my husband, my boyfriend. So they're serious, okay? My child. The ownership is in the description. The ownership is in the description, you know. And for those who have wonderful husbands and wonderful children, and everybody, you know, is doing well during this pandemic, and they still have their own places, and you may go visit them, and it's you know, have fun, and then you leave and you come back to your place and rediscover the two of you, or the one of you, if there's only one, you know, the one of you. And that's what I'm saying. To be serious about yourself, you also have to put yourself in, and having enough sense to say, I have my own ties. There's things I want to do. There's things that I have to do. You know, there's things that I'm going to be a part of that don't include you. And it's okay. All those things are okay. But we have to get to the point where we're comfortable in saying it. Because people think if you're by yourself that you're lonely. People think if you're by yourself and you're thinking and you're writing and you're doing, that you don't care for them anymore. That's not so. Sometimes the most clearest opportunity to think about who you are, where you want to go, and what you're all about has all to do with that quiet time, that peace, that solaceness of just me. Let me write it down. Let me count the waves of my love for myself. Not saying that you don't love anybody else. I'm not talking about you being narcissistic or anything. I'm talking about loving yourself enough to understand what ties you have, what ties you keep, what ties you should build, what ties you should back off on, understanding what the ties are, where they're going, and how they benefit you and them. Because sometimes you're the only one that may have the sense enough to do the assessment. Because if you're giving your 150% away, then they're going to take 150%, especially if it's beneficial to them, you know. If it's your time, if it's what you do for them, you know, cooking, cleaning, you know. I've had a couple of friends where they go over to their children's houses and clean them, and the children won't even come to their house and clean. Excuse me? No. You live over there the way you want to. You just can't live like that here. So sometimes that's the reason that they have to break the tie. Just saying. Just saying. So anyway, to be earnest really talks about the seriousness of an importance of something. It's the intention and, of course, the purpose. It's the seriousness of something. It's the serious-mindedness of something. It's the soberness, and it's also the humorous. Because sometimes you have to laugh about some of the things that you're earnest about, that you honestly believe that that's the truth. Okay? Because it gives you your understanding of where you're at, an understanding of where the family's at or where others are at. And sometimes you only know that. You only know that if you've really dealt with it. That's the only way you ever know. That's the only way. And the last letter is S. And S is for secure. And once again, when we talk about are you stuck, we can be secure in our stuckness, in our getting stuck. We can be stuck, and after a while, because we feel we can't get out of it, we get secure with it. You know, and to me, when something, I always have this thing in my head, and I don't know if you remember Pooh, of Winnie the Pooh, and if you go on my little pages, I have this little video where Pooh is stuck in a tree. And the owl comes by and says, and of course, you know, he's asking questions. He said, "Oh, Pooh, you seem to be a little bit stuck there." That's probably my favorite little section of the Pooh process of life, is that we get stuck. Somebody else can come by and see it. They may even recognize it for us. But Pooh kind of played it down. He says, "No, it's just a temporary matter." So there you go. Sometimes we can't even identify the real thing that's going on, but somebody else can. They come along and say, you seem to be a little stuck. Nope, I'm not stuck. I'm fine. I'm fine. So we can get secure in our being stuck, okay? We don't want to get stuck. We want to break the ties of whatever's going on in our lives. Whatever's going on that's not good, that doesn't serve us well and serve others well. Because I've never said just serve yourself. Obviously not. That's not the way I do things. Because to me, to serve others and is a way that you're also serving yourself, because you feel good about that when you're doing something for others. But if you're doing it to be recognized, or you're doing it now, I think people should say thank you, but if you're doing it just to be recognized, that won't always work, okay? Or you're doing it to be continuously thanked and genuflected and all that, leave it alone. It's not for you, okay? But if you're really doing it for the sole purpose of being honest about, you want to form a tie of service. You want to form a tie of love, of kindness, of understanding, of appreciation, of acknowledgement. To me, those ties means they will follow you. I will follow you if you're good in that respect. Nothing, you're not asking for anything in return, but people feel good when you've made them feel good. They understand that tie, and they want to hear it again. When you told somebody that you loved them, you told somebody that you appreciate them, wow, you have given, medicine to the head and heart just for those few little words. So to be secure, of course, and you're getting stuck and understanding your ties, it says you're fixed and it says you're fastened. So not to give away, to become loose, or to become lost. And sometimes I think when we're tied up, we are lost. That's me personally. I think when we're tied up, we are lost. We can't see right because we're lost in it. We're lost in whatever the space is where the tying takes place. And sometimes the tying doesn't even have to take place in, say, a home or anything. It's anywhere the person goes. If you're with them, there's this imaginary tie, imaginary connection, this imaginary cord that's right there, that the person's not going to go far. They're going to be right by you. And you turn around, they're right there. You almost bump into them. So so you understand what secure is. So it says, so secure is a way to talk about something being tight, and that's what ties are. They're tight. says they're firmed, they're taut, they're fixed, it says they're done up, they're close. It says they're shut. They're shut. Y'all know what I'm talking about. They're locked, they're sealed, they're connected, they're joined, they're linked, and they're affixed. All those things speak about the ties that bind us. And sometimes we can't even get beyond the ties because nobody gonna let it come in. Like when people have something that's going that works for one person, that may be what I call the mastermind of this tying up of folks and ideas or whatever else it is, it penetrates down through the level of those who are tied in. It penetrates. And so they always are concerned about how secure they are in securing others to be a part of this tie, a part of this area of control. Okay, so sometimes you have to look at your ties, examine them. Are they good? Are they bad? Are they questionable? Or do they need to be re-examined? Do they need to be loosened? Okay, do they need to be loosened? You need to break totally free? You need to be cut? What happens? You don't know. You don't know. But anyway, those are the ties. I just had to come there today with it. I just thought it was just such a great topic during pandemic to talk about the ties. Will any of you change some things once you get out of pandemic? Have you learned some more things during this time, of either oneness in yourself or all family or family and friends or whatever the combination is during the less social period with others, So anyway, here's some questions for today. And I appreciate y'all that have come into this space with me. I love every one of you, and I'm grateful. I'm grateful, thankful, and I love this fact that that we formed a tie that you will come and I will be here to present some things for thought, for journaling, because I do believe in journaling, and I, as Lavender Shedrick Williams says, there's a book in you, so you could certainly write, and she's the publisher of Candy Publishing Company, so there's a book in you. Everyone has a story to tell. Everyone has some things that have hurt them, have delighted them, that have filled them up with joy, that have, exasperated them because they can't get a handle on it. There's things. Life is twisty and turny, okay? We're going to go down some roads that are dark, and when we get to the end, we can't even get through because guess what? There was a drop-off. It was a dead end. So that means we got to turn around. So you also have to pay attention to where you're going so you know how to get back out of there. That's how you have to do. Those are ties, though. So anyway, for the questions for today, question number 1, are you tied up with family and friends or family or friends? Are you tied? How tied are you? How tied are you? Write it down. Okay, question number 2. Currently, are you together with or without family and friends? And the reason I ask that is because some people may not have anybody, but they're still tied, meaning they're still on the, every 2 seconds somebody's calling them. Where you at? What you doing? I don't see you. Let me see your face. I don't like that kind of, surveillance, as I would call it. So I just like to do me. If I pop on and I say hello, or, occasionally I'll go on and do a video with you, cool. But we can't have that 24/7 stuff, Are you sleeping? Yeah. How about it's 3 o'clock in the morning? Don't call here. Don't text me. Okay? Sometimes you have to put your boundaries around what your ties are. Sometimes if you don't set the stage will be set for you. You just have to look at how you're sitting, how you're standing, how your family is, how your friends are. You just have to look at it. Number 3, it says, do you feel your family and or friends impede your movement? Are they in the way? Or are they just pulling you back? I mean, they're not necessarily in front of you. They're just making sure that they got you from the back. Say, oh, don't go that far. No, don't try that. No, you can't go over there. Don't hang with those people. You know, they have a lot of instruction. Sometimes you have to pay attention to the instructions because the ties are in the instructions, not such as we think of it, but because remember there's that imaginary rope that's how it's controlled through what their instructions are. Number 4, it says, I can't even read my writing. Oh, it says, how earnest and seriously important are you about your family and friends? How earnest, remember, which is seriously important about your family and friends. Will you go to blows? Okay. Will you go to calling them up, telling people off, maybe giving them some bad language? What would you do? What is it? What would you write? Okay. And the last question is, do you feel secure in your placement within your family and your friendships? Do you feel secure within those families and friendships? Don't know. Don't know. Sometimes we feel very secure. We can say anything we want to say, do anything we want to do. And other families have it where, unless you were told to speak, you say nothing. And it's like, that sounds good when you're, 9, 10, 13. But once you get to being able to form your own opinion and your own ideologies, well, that may mean it's time to break the tie. Because sometimes people can't adjust to anything that is a decision that you made until you make the decision. You have to absolutely say, I'm going out on my own, and eventually people will adjust. They will adjust. But you have to make the move. You have to make the move. So anyway, today's discussion was on ties. How are you tied into your family? How are you tied into your friendships? Everything. Love, ships, everything. How are you tied? And is it, are you bound or binded so tight that you can hardly move? Don't know. You just have to figure it out. How can you figure out what you've allowed some people to do, or other people just made a decision that that's what was going to happen? Don't know. But people will do it if you let them. They will. They will. But listen, you have a wonderful day. I'm getting ready. I have a Zoom meeting at 10 o'clock. And so I'm going to go and get prepared for that. And then I have a meeting after that at 11:30. So I have to ask myself, okay, are you bound up? I'm putting some things in order. I am. Because some things I've been saying no to, where I won't take on any more responsibility for things that I'm a part of. Because sometimes you do have to reduce your role and what being a part of this tie is all about. Because if you can make it on your terms, then it works for you. But if the terms are everybody has to do this and this and this and this, then you may need to negotiate. But you have a wonderful day. I'm going to see you tomorrow. We're going to have a good time. I got one more this week. I love you. I appreciate you. I respect you. And I hope you'll come again. And please share this video with others. I'd appreciate it. And you can send them to my YouTube station, because I try to upload my previous day's video too. I love each of you. Bye-bye. Have a good day. And wear your mask.